Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Weedcraft Inc. Weedcraft Inc. is developed by Vile Monarch, published by Clubatter, and releases on September 29th, 2022. Unfortunately, we don't have a price yet for the game, but I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about it, give you my initial impressions, and let you know if I think this is a game worth picking up and playing. So, Weedcraft Inc. is a simulation game. I'm sure by the title you can kind of imagine. It's a game where you're going to be simulating owning your own marijuana dispensary, I think is the right word to call it. I don't smoke weed, do drugs, or anything, so sorry if any of my lingo's off. Feel free to bash me in the comments for it. But yeah, it's a simulation based game where you're going to kind of inherit a little weed growing operation. Your family's going to kind of encourage you to join in with you, and you're going to try to dominate the city and become the biggest dealer in town. Now, the game features the opportunity to do scenarios, custom game modes, and a couple different things, as well as an ability to add a chill mode setting to kind of adjust the difficulty and strength level of the game. I'm going to load into just kind of an earlier part of the game. That way you'll see a little bit of kind of what the first couple hours may look like. Now, when it comes to simulation games, this is a game that's going to be pretty demanding here. So far at this point in the save, we've unlocked the ability to grow a couple different batches of weed, start selling our weed, and also have expanded our growing house. The growing house, it's pretty self-explanatory. You'll be able to grow your plants here. You also get to do these kind of little timed sequence mini games. You want to water your plants as well as cut them, and you want to cut them by holding the scissors down until it just barely fills up that little circle bar. If you have a tiny TV, it might be pretty hard to find, so you may need to practice timing things. As well as you need to manage stuff inside your facility, different types of lights and things you have going on in between are all going to impact what you have going on, as well as the different plants and living conditions with the temperatures and everything that you do inside your little growing operation. You'll later get the opportunity to have rival sellers come in, and you'll have to do a lot of stuff, avoiding the police. As you can see, there's a little police indicator at the top of our screen that hasn't really came into play yet into this save, but it can be a challenge to kind of manage to stay out of the windows of the law and, micromanage everything you're doing. Now let's talk about micromanaging a little bit. The game has tons of detail and a lot to dive into. You can go into the settings here. You can tweak a couple stuff to make it more to your style. But if you go into this little menu navigation system, this is how you get to the game's manual. Unfortunately, you can't get to the manual by hitting start and just checking on things. You have to hold right trigger and navigate up with your analog stick, and then slide down and hit question mark to be able to actually go and learn things. So that's definitely a thing that I think should be fixed, and hopefully if the developers do decide to listen to this review, they consider adding a manual button just on the menu screen to help people navigate things, especially when it comes time to like really finding anything out in your game. It gets quite challenging to know what to do. As well as another complaint I have with the game is honestly the controls of this game. It's pretty simple and easy to navigate around, but I've played tons of simulation games that get things right, and then tons of games that get it wrong. For me, I think this game's kind of in the middle of they got a couple things right, but then they've gotten a couple things definitely wrong. To navigate to the different panes, you have to hold right stick and maneuver around. None of these options have, quick access to like get around anywhere outside of just navigating back to the city, and then you have to still use your panel and pane filtering with your analog stick to find everything. And it gets to be a rather little interesting experience. And, the game I think also tends to throw a lot at you that it doesn't need to right off the bat. This is, like I said, about an hour and a half, 2 hours in gameplay of the game. I don't need these menu buttons here in the bottom right of my screen, or really anything in here that isn't a factor to me. I shouldn't be able to go filter for competition if, it's not something I'm dealing with yet. The game, I think, really has missed an opportunity to better introduce people to this game, and has honestly made it to where it's a little bit of a challenge. The game also doesn't explain a lot of new concepts very well, at least from my memory of playing the game, outside of you deep diving far into the manual that, like I was showing, that's actually rather hidden. Um, you know, just when it comes down to like your timing sequences for when you're cutting plants and things like that, it doesn't come across as a very straightforward mechanic, and it gets a little clunky at times, especially when it comes to timing sequences where I'm pretty sure I timed things the exact same way I did the first time, and the second time it just doesn't go that way, even though I'm pretty sure I changed nothing in terms of how I'm doing things, as well as just a little bit of the over detail and over complication of some stuff when it comes to how the game hits you up front can be a little overwhelming, especially when your notification setting to really track any of these objectives I have. I wish this pane here would maybe stay somewhere to show me my active objectives instead of me occasionally being given an objective here. One of the early ones you're going to have is going to be I think it's the one we're actually on right now, where you have to set up, let's see, what is it, the Super Lemon Haze plant, and you have to adjust the pH levels. But it doesn't tell you what to set those levels to. Here in the pH level screen, you are just told to go set the pH levels with the little pink notification. But to know what to actually do, you have to go back and open this kind of current challenge progress, whatever menu, little guidance guy that tells you what to do. And I think the game really misses an opportunity to kind of simplify things that it makes a little too difficult at times. And when it comes to being a simulation game, there's the hardcore people who want to enjoy simulation games, but then this is going to be a game that I think attracts a lot of not traditional simulation games or gamers because of its topic, so to speak. And that's definitely a big miss for trying to be more friendly and user introductive into the game. Now, outside of that, like I said, you're going to do a lot of repetitive stuff in this game, and it's going to be a lot of what seems like very idly. But there is a lot to do here in the game, from interacting to rival gangs to the various, or not gang, why do I keep saying gangs? Rival dealers and turf wars and everything you have in between. There's different scenarios that you can play at the start of the game that you'll start to unlock. And like I said, the custom game mechanic allows you to do a little bit of enjoyment yourself, but this is a game for people who really deeply enjoy simulation games and don't mind this mindless idling stuff. As you can see, I'm just pretty much doing the exact gameplay at the start of the game right now. That is pretty much what your first couple hours of playing this game is going to be like. It's going to be just babying your plants and upgrading your grow house. Now, some initial recommendations if you do pick this game up. Make sure you're upgrading your grow house pretty quick, because money's not really going to be an issue for you early on. It's just going to be kind of managing your space. This grow house has already been upgraded 2 stages. You probably don't need both initial upgraded stages. You can more take your time, but that's things you can focus on. As well as when you're first starting out in the game, make sure you're coming over here and managing out your dealer's pricing. That's going to allow you to get maximum profit and do really well when it comes to selling your product, and adjusting like your flavor and rating with all your clientele. If you make things really cheap, you're going to get a lot of sales, but you're also going to run out of inventory pretty darn quick. So it's finding that micromanagerial level to set yourself up to be more successful. Overall, I think this game is, as much as I bashed on a couple things, it's not a bad simulation game. I've enjoyed playing it, but I'm a person who really enjoys simulation-based games. Visually, this game is got the the right aesthetic, so to speak, that I would expect from a game of this topic. Things look very detailed and lined up. Yes, I did Google what some weed plants were to see if there was any kind of similarities, and the game could have just been like, here's some copy paste repetitive stuff, we're just naming things this and that. But no, they actually did their homework, and I have a feeling the developers have a little experience with this kind of stuff. Myself not. But overall, as far as a game, visually the game looks great. The soundtrack, it's nothing really to go over with, but it is an enjoyable game. There is a little bit of a narrative story that goes along with the game that is definitely something to focus into and adds a little more meat to the game. But like I said, a lot of what you're going to do is very ground level repetitive stuff. You'll have opportunities to expand your operation with other people. I'll let you unlock that and enjoy that as you go. But, I think when it comes to the initial couple hours and first investments into this game, this is really where I think people are going to factor and weigh their opinions on if a game's worth picking up. Because for me, the first 1 to 2 hours are going to hook me or going to lose me. most games that I play, and I think, for most people would probably agree the same. As far as an opinion of buy, sell, pass, if you are big into simulation games and you like the topic that this game is about, I definitely recommend picking it up. Not knowing what a price point, I'd say if this game is any more than, $25, probably wait for a sale. If you are not big into simulation games and this might be your first game, I would do a little bit of research, maybe make sure that you've watched, not only my review, but other people's reviews and feedback on the game to see if this is something that's really into your style, because it's a very different type of game, especially if you're not used to simulation-based games. I'm not going to recommend passing on this game. I just definitely think it's, kind of one of the two. It's either going to be a simulation game for diehard simulation gamers, or it's going to attract the topic enthusiast weed gamer who wants to see what this game's all about. Outside of that, if you have any questions or want to know more about the game or have a differing opinion, please let me know down below in the comments. If you did pick up this game, I'd love to hear what you think of it down below as well. Outside of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. I'm going to cut up my plants here, get them sold, and we'll catch you next time.